What you are about to see is a portion of a clinic that I give to my Goodbye Gut clients who, as you know, I specialize in working with men that are 50 and over who want to get rid of belly fat and reverse disease. But more on that later. Enjoy. Are we really bridging the gap when it comes to supplementation? There are so many supplements out there since it is a billion, I'm going to say, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's a $5 billion market of supplementation. When it comes to that, I'm going to use two supplements that a lot of you may have heard of. And why? Because they're going to be bookends, but it's not intended to be that this is the only thing I'm talking about. This is an education with two examples that are bookends. The bottom line is I'm going to make you a better educated person when it comes to supplementation. And this category is called nutraceuticals. And when I say nutraceuticals, it's in comparison to pharmaceuticals. Here is the first thing you guys need to do. If you are taking a supplement, you need to make sure it has passed the independent audits of a third-party tester, NSF, the independent third-party website that you can go to, whatever supplement that you know you're taking, and you just enter into it, plug that in, and if it doesn't come up, it means it's not certified by a third-party independent tester. So let's go over what that means. First of all, this third-party independent tester cannot be funded or have a kickback by who they're examining. These people are going to certify that the product does not contain a banned substance, that it contains what's on the label, that it has been tested for harmful levels of contaminants, which are microbes, heavy metals, and pesticides, and that the facility is registered. And also this facility is going to be audited 2 times a year. Now this is kind of a complicated chart, but I'm going to break it down for you. And here's what I want you guys to see. NSF has a rating system. Each certification step, 1, 2, and 3, builds upon the other. So that means if your nutraceutical, I'm going to use that word again, your vitamin, your mineral, your amino acid, your protein powder, whatever, as long as it's not prescribed by a physician, you need to make sure it has some level of certification. Main one in the middle, public health and safety, because if you're going to put something in your body, you only have one body, guys. You didn't get 2 or 3. You got one body. You're going to put something in it every day on a regular basis. You better be darn sure it's not going to be harmful to your health or unsafe. Obviously, that should be a no-brainer. But guys, this here is right in the center. We're talking level 2. I'm skipping level 1 because level 1 is like, hey, if you don't even get level 1, you shouldn't even be putting in your mouth. But here's the thing. I'm on level 2 just for safety reasons. And kind of this is what bothers me is that we had to get to level 2 to be safe. Doesn't that make you angry to think you could have a certification at level 1? No. Level 1 should have been safe. But hey, I'm not here to argue with NSF. So here's the certifications you have to have. This is bare bones minimum, guys, right here. Certified contents, NSF, contains and claims certified. Now let's move on to the next one. Up a tier, level 3. Decreased risk of positive doping test. Now this might throw you for a loop and you might think, oh, I don't need to be certified for doping. I'm not competing professionally. The reason I bring this up to you guys of why decreased risk of positive dope testing is because, listen to this, there's a lot of nutraceuticals or companies that sell supplements that cheat. How do they cheat? They throw in drugs that are supposed to be prescribed by doctors, but they throw in and they sprinkle a little of that in so that you get some effects, not knowing that you're actually taking a drug of some sort of class. Well, why do they do it? Because they can get away with it because you're not at home testing these things out. You're trusting when you buy this thing off the shelf that it doesn't contain something that could be harmful because it's not regulated by a doctor who's looking at your lab work to make sure that there's not a complication. Why would a company sprinkle a medication in it Well, because they're going to make so much money if you keep taking it and getting results, right? Because when you take something, you want results. And if it gives you results, you're more likely going to buy it again. So it's in their
Right.
best interest to kind of sneak in a little hint of something, the banned substances. When they screen for banned substances, why do you think the substances are banned? These companies that make these supplements and they're selling them to people like crazy, they also want to throw in a few banned substances because for anyone who is an athlete, they want to perform. And if they can get that athletic edge to perform, for instance, let's go to somebody you guys might know, The Rock. If you look at The Rock years ago, what he looked like before he started getting really buff, it's like two different people. He
Hmm.
wasn't a big buff guy. He became a big buff guy because why? Steroids. And he may say he doesn't take them, but there is no way when you look at The Rock that he is naturally that big when you see him in his 20s and he looks like every other normal guy. Do steroids work? Absolutely. Do drugs work? Absolutely. But they have consequences. Now, I'm not here to get on my soapbox and say I'm not going to have you take any of those because, hey, that's what you want to do because you're willing to accept the repercussions. Knock yourself out, but at least you do it knowingly. I don't want you to be doing something and then turn around later and have a problem and go, nobody told me. Why did this happen to me? I just want you to be all the wiser. So let's start with our first supplement, Kachava. Here's front and back. Do you guys see a symbol on here anywhere from NSF, either on the front or the back?
No.
And here's what I will tell you guys. If they're NSF certified, they're going to be smart enough to put it on the front because that's what's going to help them sell to people that are educated. But it's not on the front. And by the way, I did the homework. It's not on the back either because it's not NSF certified. But boy, do these commercials come up everywhere, all over the internet. Don't put this into your body. It's not NSF certified, not even on level 1. So that's even before the public safety level. Whole body meal. The reason people are doing this is because they're thinking, hey, if I don't eat right, I'll just take this and supplement so that way I get my nutrition. Well, not guys at the expense of your organs, because there are complications we're going to talk about. I don't care what any of this says here. If there's no certification, there's no need to even care what's in there because they can lie up the yin yang to you about what's in it. And why would they lie about it? Because profits. It's easy to put powders together and help you not understand what's in it because how are you going to look under the hood and see? You can't test it out and spend the time. So now let's go to AG1. Do you guys see the NSF on this one? And I only put the front, bottom right corner, right? Certified sport. So not only do they have an NSF rating, they have level 1, level 2, and level 3. And as I told you before, all the levels add upon themselves. So they're the top of the heap. So this is why I chose these two supplements to talk about as bookends. One that we don't even look further because there's no label. Okay, now we're talking. We got something safe, quote unquote. So now we're going to dive into what's inside this. I don't know where you guys get your news, but in case you get it from Forbes magazine, we're going to go to the Forbes health section. And this is going to show you guys how to look at not only AG1, but be buyer beware when you're on the internet or reading a magazine, what you should be looking for. So this is a screenshot. And by the way, you can see 2023. This was reviewed this year. We're not getting old information. Athletic Greens, which is now known as AG1, review in 2023. When I opened the article, this is what I saw. This is the first thing that popped up to me when I opened that article. Say, okay, let me read about this. Do you see what happened here? Number 1, most popular, Super Greens by Live It Up, 9.8 rating. Number 2, AG1 Athletic Greens, 9.7 rating. Okay, shop now. You see this? Shop now, shop now, shop now. Do you agree with me that Forbes is making money off of you shopping via these links. Do you guys agree with that? It's a
Yeah.
well-known fact now, right? So this is why when you say, well, I read about it in Forbes Health, it must be good. No, Forbes Health is making money off of this. I'm going to go back to the woman who wrote this article. Her name is Toby Amador. You can see her here. You notice the alphabet soup she has after her name? That's a master's in science. The next one is RD, registered dietitian. The next one is CND, certified dietitian nutritionist. And the last one is FAND, fellow of the Association for Nutrition and Dietitian. She has degree after degree after degree. And then after she got all these degrees and she can go out and work in this field, she went on and wrote articles to other colleagues in her own field. Meaning, she not only knows her stuff in this, she's teaching her stuff to the other colleagues in her realm. So these are people that are highly regarded. So when she wrote this article, the sad part is I doubt anybody's going to read the article because, let me go back. When you see this article and you click on it to go ahead and go like this to scroll up, let me remind you, this is what pops up. You try to read the article and bam, you get this. So what does this do for our public today who we are over bombarded by stimulation and we're short on time? What are you going to do? You're going to skip the article more than likely, right? And just go, oh, well, heck, I'll go to Live It Up and AG1 and I'll pick one of those and I'm good to go. I won't even read the article. That's the sad part. Here's what we have. The Shop Now button. See how big it is? Big and easy to click. Once you click on that button, now Forbes Health will make a cut off of this product. That's how they pay their employees. Makes sense. But you can also see there's other things. Look, Go Low diet review. Just in case you don't get sucked into buying athletic greens, you're going to go for the Go Low or maybe a BMI calculator. All of these things are money-making opportunities for Forbes Health. Anybody who's listening to this may say, hey, Janina, but you know what? I tried this and it actually works for me. I feel great when I take this. Well, lo and behold, here's why. It contains, and this is a snapshot from the AG1 package, green tea extract. This is a stimulant. It is like taking a cup of coffee. If I gave Daryl a cup of coffee, like an espresso shot, I'm sure he would feel zingy and ready to work and be active. Is that a bad thing? No, absolutely not. Maybe he'll put good time in at the gym if that's what he wants to do, or maybe he'll go put good time in mowing the lawn and just feel energetic and say, God, this is wonderful. I'm going to drink this every day because I feel so wonderful. And by the way, this is where you're getting it from because they put an actual stimulant in it. But that stimulant is not the same thing as good health. It's no different than somebody drinking a cup of coffee. This is a man in Australia who took a protein powder because he wanted to lose weight. And he didn't know that it had the green tea extract in it because he was just looking at it as a protein powder to lose weight. Ended up in the hospital. They had to do a liver transplant on him. The reason I'm going to link below this, the actual video of the interview with this man from 60 Minutes Australia, and let me repeat that, not the United States of America, guys. This story came out in Australia because in the US, the people who have enough money to pay politicians and to pay news medias to stay away from this kind of story, they're pushing this out of the US because we're a very wealthy nation. Heaven forbid we should hurt the sales of this product in the US. But you know what? Australia, not that many people, mostly what, kangaroos. So that's why this story is from Australians 60 Minutes. I would love someday for this to be in the United States 60 Minutes. Who knows? Maybe that'll come sooner than later. but I'll hook it below. And I do encourage you to watch it because in the story from 60 Minutes, you will see the scientist who took liver cells from a human and put the green tea extract on it to see how it killed the liver cells. This is how they knew to trace it back to the green tea extract that was in this guy's supplement that caused him to need the liver transplant. And I actually cue it up exactly to the story so you don't have to watch the whole hour of 60 Minutes. You can just watch this portion, okay? And that'll be on YouTube and you guys will have access to it. But here's what I want you guys to understand. When a company makes a supplement, they know in order for you to ever buy it again, you have to feel something. So, of course, instead of putting caffeine in it, and for you to read the word caffeine, doesn't it sound sexier to hear green tea extract? Or anything green is considered healthy. And that, again, is greenwashing. Greenwashing things that could be actually detrimental to your health. So now let's bring up the podcasters. Dr. Abraham Huberman, why I chose him. Again, I am choosing people that are super popular on the internet. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So he has millions upon millions of followers, or I should say listeners. I don't want to use those terms intermittently because I don't want to assume just because you listen to him that you follow his preaching. Now, granted, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. This guy does have some good things to tell you, but here's the problem. Whenever I go on to one of his podcasts, he will spend 5 to 10 minutes promoting AG1 along with a lot of other things. And people buy it because they hear it from him. And let me give you the stats on this guy. Huberman has been in the top 10 of what I would consider all health and fitness podcasts in the world, in the top 10. And frequently he has been #1 in health and fitness as a podcaster. That's why I chose him. I went straight to the big guys. And here's what he has as his background. Neuroscientist and tenured professor of neurobiology at Stanford School of Medicine. And to give you a little bit more history, because as me as an eye doctor, I knew of him as a doctor who teaches ophthalmology. So he teaches eye surgeons part of their education. So this guy, because of his popularity, when he says something to people, they listen. How many of you guys remember when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen? For those of you guys that are old enough to remember E.F. Hutton, well, this is the E.F. Hutton of medical and physical fitness podcast. So now let's go over what happens. Why would he recommend this? Well, he's been taking it for 12 years. And by the way, I didn't just read that. I actually saw him in a podcast state that he takes AG1 and he's been taking it for 12 years. Okay, that's why I also put him in this talk. But I want you guys to notice his age. This guy, he's not a youngster, but he's not that old either. He hasn't had time to have something happen bad yet. So keep that in mind. So let's go on to why he might be promoting this. Here's the affiliate website of AG1, Joint Athletic Greens Affiliate Program. For those of you that don't know, affiliate means that if you're on YouTube or social media of any kind and you tell somebody to click your link below your picture or your article or your video, you will get a kickback from that company for any sales that are made from that person clicking on your link. So when he promotes this, he gets, and I'm going to show you guys here, 30% of the value. So now let's go over it. It's $99 a month. Every 30 days, Daryl, your eyes widened up. $99. You can save some money if you order in bulk. So you can get it down as low as $79. But still, this guy is making 30% of that. So here's what happens. Do the math based on his reach. Not every person who listens to him will buy the product, but let's go ahead and give you the numbers. If just 0.001%, click on that link and buy the product. This is how much this guy will make. $30,000 per episode. This is why this man here is wealthy, in the millions. And his podcast that he does every week will give him $30,000 just from this one product. Now, I have told you earlier, he will spend 5 to 10 minutes promoting several products. So in that 5 to 10 minute spiel, he could be making off of that one episodes in upwards of 50,000 or more. But just off of AG1, we're just doing AG1 alone, okay? Because why? AG1, guys, has decided their business model is this. We share the wealth. We come out and we give everybody big cuts of it until we take over the world. Guess whose business model that was also? Jeff Bezos, Amazon. He said, hey, I'm going to get you shipping within 24 hours, and it's going to be cheap. I'm not here to rip each person off. I'd rather just take a little cut of everything and be a multi-billionaire based on a little bit from millions and millions of people. And that's the same business model of AG1. I'm going to go a step further. How many people know this guy? Joe Rogan. I am a fan of Joe Rogan. I'm even attracted to Joe Rogan. I like bald guys. This man makes 190 million downloads per month for his podcast. So he makes, you guys can see it here, $600,000 per month. $600,000 when he recommends AG1 to his followers. Joe Rogan has a much wider reach than Andrew Huberman, and here's why. Joe Rogan has a reach to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that wants to talk about all these different topics, because he doesn't just talk about health and fitness and wellness. He talks about sports, he talks about everyday topics, he talks about politics, he talks about anything and everything of interest to a lot of people. So he has such a huge reach that AG1 doesn't just pay him 30% of each 30-day supply sold. They made a deal that he makes even more money. So he doesn't have to sell as many units as Huberman. And he's killing it. $600,000. So here's where we get off thinking, okay, do we get our health and fitness and wellness information from someone like Joe Rogan? Well, maybe sometimes there's some good things that he tells you, but you have to realize there is a financial consequence or a financial backing for Joe Rogan on this. In the future, I do want to do a video on Joe Rogan because I'm just going to throw this out there. I have noticed over the years, he's getting thicker and thicker. The more he ages, he doesn't look like the same guy. Same thing with Huberman. They're in their age category where Mother Nature hasn't given up completely on them yet, and they don't know the error of their ways yet. But they will. But I'm going to start to kind of pick that away and show it to you in another video. But let's move on to AG1. Here's your way of looking at any kind of supplement. I'm going to tell you what to pick out here so that you can just do some little quick hits, because we're not going to go over everything. I'm just going to pick out things that are blatantly obvious. First thing, top of the chart, calories. You see here it says amount per serving 50, correct? You notice here when it says 50 calories at the top, they're appealing to people who are ignorant about health and wellness, because calories is one of the biggest marketing ploys of all. You guys have learned that from the 8-week video course. In there, I told you that they develop calories so they can develop a marketing ploy for people. So when they put calories up at the top, they know so many people are misinformed about the word calories. So what I want you to do when you see calories, just throw it out. You don't need to care about calories. Calories are not the concern here. Next, ascorbic acid, vitamin C. 420 milligrams, which represents 467% of the recommended daily allowance. Does that even make sense? Like if the recommended amount of vitamin C is 100%, why would you need an extra 367%? You don't. But some people see that and they think more is better. And for the human body, this is the first red flag I pull up. The first red flag for me is once you get over 100%, now we're talking about a company that's making a product that has no sense of how the human body works. They have no idea that homeostasis is key to good health, meaning balance. Balance where you're not having one thing go crazy high. Like we go back to what Ron said. He knew he was vitamin D deficient because the test proved he was vitamin D deficient. So him taking a vitamin D supplement was not going to throw him out of homeostasis as long as he continued to work with the dosage with his doctor. But this is not what AG1 is doing. They're just selling this product to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who will buy it without any knowledge of this person's health history and whether or not they even need it. But some of you are going to say, whoa, Janina, don't worry about it though. It's a water-soluble vitamin. There are vitamins that you pee out what you don't need because Mother Nature made your body well enough to say, if you don't need it, it's going to get rid of it. When it comes to vitamin C, yes, it is a water-soluble vitamin, meaning if you overdose on it, you really can't because your body will get rid of the excess. But guess what, guys? There's a consequence. Kidney stones are the consequence of excess vitamin C, more so when it comes from synthetic versions. As opposed to if you ate, so far from this let's say, today, 5 oranges, you might get 467% of your recommended allowance, but at least the 5 oranges come from Mother Nature. Along with the orange comes fiber and a lot of other nutrients that Mother Nature put in. But when you get it as a vitamin C ascorbic acid inside of this powder and getting it in liquid form, because you're going to drink this, it's a rush. So this is all a repercussion of the excess. If you learned something so far from this talk today, give a like and subscribe to my channel so you get more of it. You guys see what is here when it comes to vitamin B12? Look at this, 917%. Look underneath there, biotin, B7, 1,100%. Why would you need 1,000% more of anything? Okay, this is a big problem, guys. I don't want to go into what vitamin D causes because already you know what vitamin C is doing. You can imagine just in a nutshell, excess vitamins, even though they're water soluble, can create problems because when they're water soluble, your kidneys have to filter this out. Herein lies the problem. It makes no sense to have this much of anything. Fat soluble vitamins. Now here we're talking vitamin E, 553%. Okay, guys, vitamin E is a blood thinner, just so that way you know. Whenever you go to a doctor, the reason they'll ask you, sir, are you taking any vitamin E? And if you are, you please need to stop this before we do some dental work on you. Why do they say that? Because vitamin E thins the blood enough to where if a surgeon or a dentist takes a tooth out of you, you could bleed to death. Because vitamin E is fat soluble, where is the body going to put the excess vitamin E it does not need? It's going to store it in your liver. Okay, that's what your liver is for, by the way, guys. When you eat a healthy meal, let's say you go and you eat a ribeye steak and you have salad and a baked potato. There are a lot of nutrients, vitamins, and minerals in that meal. Your liver is going to take whatever you don't need and store it for you for later so that you don't have to eat a ribeye steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or you don't need to eat a ribeye steak and a salad and a baked potato every day of your life. But you could eat that day and have enough vitamins and minerals and nutrition to last you several days, maybe even a week. And why is that? Because as a species, it wasn't guaranteed that we would get fed every single day of our lives. Caveman days, you had to go out and hunt for your food. Sometimes winter was long. That's why the human body doesn't need as much nutrition as these nutraceutical companies are trying to make you believe. They're trying to tell you, hey, you're not doing so good. You don't eat enough vegetables, so you just might as well take our drink. No. That's not how it works. It's the exact opposite. One good meal every couple of days is good enough to give you the nutrition, believe it or not, that your body requires, because that's how we were developed as a species. So here's the problem with fat-soluble vitamins. After the liver, when the liver can't take any more storage of the excess vitamins, the next place it's going to store it is in your fat. This is how your body's going to say, well, we can't put any more in the liver or else we're going to start having a problem and this guy's going to die sooner. So let's go ahead and move it to his fat. Here's the problem we have with water-soluble and fat-soluble vitamins. They can interact with your medication. If you're taking a medication prescribed by a doctor, you have to tell them of all the supplements you're taking, because they need to know that those supplements may interact with the medication you're taking, and not in a good way. It's to your best interest to be upfront with your doctor and say, these are all the things I'm taking. Let me know if my blood pressure medication is going to cause a problem, or my heart medication, or this or that. So if you're taking prescription drugs, you're better off not taking supplementation. If you're taking supplementation, I will be supportive of that while we fix things so you don't have to get on medication. But I never want you on both at the same time. That could be a recipe for disaster. AG1 comes in a powder that you mix with water and you shake it up in this container. A lot of people are drinking this on a daily basis, and it costs $3 per serving. $3 is an average. Some people are paying $3.40 for it, depending on if they're buying it just once a month, or if they're buying it in bulk, they might go down as low as $2.80, but basically on average, $3. So here's what the situation is. It's a lifelong replacement, or repeat customer, in other words. That's what this is to AG1. You get started on this, now AG1 is going to be singing all the way to the bank, and so is Joe Rogan, if you got his link, or Andrew Huberman, if you got his link, because every month you're a repeat customer. The problem I have with this is, I would rather you take the $3 that you're spending on this every single day, and if you just add this to buying better quality food, you're going to increase your bioavailability of nutrition because you're buying higher quality food. So let's take one example. Eggs. We've talked about this before. You don't want to buy eggs that cost $1.99 for 12. You want to spend probably a good $6 or more for a dozen. Now that's a, what? $2, $3, $4 difference, but that's a whole dozen of eggs. Just in that one day, you could buy yourself a whole dozen of eggs that have more of all the nutrition that your body's asking for, just by spending one day's worth of AG1 on eggs. Okay, but you can do that with meat. You spend, let's say, grass-fed hamburger meat is probably, in my area, can cost about $6 to $7 a pound, opposed to regular ground beef, which is $4 a pound. $3 difference again. There we go. You see that? That's another day. One other drink, day two, you could buy yourself grass-fed beef. And by the way, guys, I don't think any one of you are going to eat an entire pound of grass-fed beef by yourself. You're going to be able to feed a family of 4 with that. And if you're a big eater, maybe you'll feed yourself 2 times. But you see how the numbers don't make sense if you're buying AG1 when you can just buy food. But now let me go to the person who says, wait a minute, Janina, but I don't cook. Okay, so let's take these $3 now, and instead of going to, let's say, Carl's Jr. and buying the bacon guacamole double cheeseburger. And by the way, that's not going to be cheap, by the way. That's going to cost you somewhere about $7 for that burger, okay? You add another $3, you got $10. You can go over to Chipotle and get a carne asada bowl or a pollo asada bowl, which is the grilled chicken bowl if you're not into red meat. You can have the black beans with it. You can have all of the accoutrements that they add to it for free along with that, because you're really paying for that meat. And the idea is you're taking that $3 for day 3 and look at what you can do. So when people say, well, I'd rather do this because it's convenient. Well, okay, you got me on that. Hands down, AG1 is convenient. But is it healthier and better for you? No, absolutely not. Food first, guys. And enjoy eating, because as long as you guys have teeth, you guys can continue to eat food. Or like I've said before, unless you're an astronaut headed up to space and wearing a diaper and a spacesuit and you have to drink liquids, okay, fine. Maybe AG1 is it for you. But if you're a man here on this earth, you have teeth and you enjoy eating, food first. So let's go to the $3. So let's go to this chicken on the far right on the bottom corner. And here's where I'm going to bring up loss leaders. For those of you who worked in stores before, you know that stores have loss leaders, meaning they have purposely made a rotisserie chicken at a very cheap cost. And you think, gosh, I could buy this chicken already marinated, already cooked, already hot and ready to go for less than what I could buy it in the poultry section where I have to cook it or wash it, clean it, cook it, wait, clean up after myself and all that. I can buy it cheaper. Yes, it's a loss leader for that reason, to bring you into the store. They're hoping that when you buy that chicken, you'll pass by and buy something else. But if you're smart, you can go into Costco and just grab that chicken and get on out of there. Or you can go to Vons or Smart and Final, Pavilions, Whole Foods. Everybody has their loss leaders in there. Let's talk about stomach acid and AG1 in its liquid form versus a capsule. Now, I'm not going to recommend capsules, but I do want to give you guys some biology of your body. You guys know you have stomach acid. That stomach acid is intended to break down food into the nutrients so that it can pull what it needs out of it and send it down into the small intestine where it can be absorbed. Here's the problem with AG1. This is a liquid. There's no capsule you're taking it right down your throat as a liquid. This AG1 supposedly has probiotics. These are the microbes that we want to have in our gut so that we can digest food and be healthy. Probiotics are the good bacteria that live inside of you. That probiotic needs to get from inside of this bottle through the stomach acid and make it into this. This is the small intestine. So these are the probiotics. If you put AG1 in your body, what do you think the stomach acid is going to do to the probiotics? So do you think this bottle with probiotics floating around in it is going to make it through that stomach acid? So here's where it needs to go again. This is the small intestine. This is where absorption happens of nutrition. This stomach with the acid is where your body says, we got to break everything into its parts. That's what the stomach is intended to do. And it knows how to do that with food. It's built for food. It's not built for AG1 in a watered down, powdered drink. I'm not recommending capsules, guys, but just to be fair, let's talk about what a capsule is. A special coating on capsules is intended to remain intact in the stomach. And that's this, guys, right here, the stomach where the acid is, but to dissolve in the small intestine, which is down here, and provide an option for ensuring that a probiotic will survive to reach the gut alive. And this is where you guys have to realize, when I say the word gut, some of you guys think it's your stomach. No, the gut consists of the small intestine and then the large intestine. And those probiotics, those good microbes, have to make it in here. But if you had to pick the lesser of two evils or the more likely source of a probiotic, you'd have to go with the pill form, which isn't a capsule, or the pill form, which, you know what I'm talking about, the chalky ones with a layer on the outside. I don't even think the chalky ones would make it through, but it'd be better than a liquid. This is what I want you to snapshot. The very first line up here says unsubstantiated claims. The FDA allows them to police themselves. That's the key here. Even though all of these NSF labels are available, not one thing on this pyramid states that they have verified that they're doing what they say they do. Let me repeat that. All of this NSF has to do with, is there anything in there that is unsafe? But it's not about, is what they say on the package going to actually help you? No. NSF is not for that. NSF does not verify that their claims are true. And they don't have to because they're a supplement. They're not a pharmaceutical. They're not a drug. If the FDA got involved on this end, like they should, they would actually go a step further and say, hey, AG1 says it does A, B, C, and D, and it doesn't do any of that. But they don't do that. They let the nutraceuticals or the supplementation and the vitamin people police themselves. So now let's go through if you were policing yourself. When you're allowed to police yourself, it depends on your moral character, what you're going to do. But if you're making millions of dollars off of this, it's a little slippery slope for a moral character. So this is where we end up with people like this telling you what the product does so that you'll believe what they tell you, because NSF is not going to tell you that. But Huberman will say, yes, it does this for me and it does that for me. Well, he's making $30,000 an episode. Joe Rogan, as much as I love Joe, he's making $600,000 to tell you what it does for him. So this is why you guys have to be buyer beware. And when it comes down to it, I'm not wanting to say whatever comes out of their mouth is a lie. I'm just saying that they're probably basing their recommendation off of how they feel. And we go back to the green tea extract. The stimulant that's in it gives them the energy to do what it is that they want to do. But guys, you can go ahead and get a Starbucks cup of coffee for $3 a day and do the same thing without all the extra unbalancing of your nutrition. 467% extra or 1,100% extra. Whenever you're going to take something that has unsubstantiated claims and the FDA allowing them to police themselves, you need to ask yourself these 3 questions. What are you trying to achieve when you take this supplement? How do you know if you're making progress? And how do you track it over time? Goes back to what we teach you here. When you're trying to achieve something, we have to have a lab marker to prove that it's working. This is why we always go back to your labs. So if you're planning on taking supplementation, ask your doctor for a review of minerals and vitamins in your body to see what you're lacking. Let's see what numbers come up. What I want you guys to realize is supplements can disempower you by offloading responsibility to a pill, a powder, or even herbs for your health if it is not indicated or necessary. This is where I have to take a stand and say, I do believe in medications when they're necessary. Those of you who had to stay on high blood pressure medication until we got it down, I believe in that. Same thing with heart medication or anti-anxiety medication. All of these medications serve a purpose when they're indicated and necessary. Same thing should hold true for your supplements. Your lifestyle choices can be more powerful than any pill or powder or even medications. For those of you who are diabetic and you guys come in here, your A1Cs are running in the 8s and you've been taking metformin for a long time, you come in here within 3 months, we get you down into the low 7s. Doctors are like, wow, that's impressive. Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, it wasn't with the metformin. That was the lifestyle changes you're learning with when to eat, what to eat, and how to eat. I want to leave you with this visual when it comes to your body. Think of your body as this pond. When this pond has the imbalance going on, and I mean that by an imbalance that creates a health problem, whether it be your heart, whether it be your liver, whether it be your blood vessels, you name it, whatever health problem you have, that means an imbalance is going on. That means you're out of whack with something and we got to fix it. If it gets pretty bad, it can be toxic. When your pond, your health is at a toxic and imbalanced level, doctors are going to come in and go, hey, let's throw some medication at it. They're going to want you to throw those pills into your pond. Now, people like Huberman and Joe Rogan are going to say what? Oh no, don't do the drugs. Do the vitamins and minerals. Do the protein powders. That's what they're going to tell you to do. Again, throwing more stuff into your pond. But here's what you're learning in this course. We are instead going upstream, like a factory throwing out toxic chemicals into the pond. We don't want to do that. We want to stop that. So what you guys are doing is we're not promoting drugs, supplements, and vitamins. We're promoting heading over to where the problem is. Turn the spigot off. That's what has to happen first. When you turn that spigot off, this is what the equivalent of your week 1 of education. When you go further through the course, we go more in depth. And this is what's important for you guys when it comes to what you're learning. If you're going to put something into the pond, is that really smart? No, because you can put stuff into that pond all you want, but until you turn the spigot off and until you start giving your pond water good, healthy water, nothing's going to change in that pond. You're just making more of a muck.
I have a question about NSF. If NSF certifies it to number 2, can it still have banned substances in it?
Yes. And let's go back to that picture, because here's what was kind of sad. When I went onto the website and I took a look at it, I thought, man, they really need to put this in bigger print, because it's pretty easy for you to go to that website and just, oh, they're NSF, I'm done. But when you realize the tiers, how they build upon each other, that should have been in bigger print, which is why I circled it. That's the first thing you needed to see, that they build upon the other. So they don't go where, oh, it's over here and it has this, but it doesn't have this. No, if it doesn't have everything below, you're not going to get past that level. And here's the problem with these supplement companies. These supplement companies are all mostly started by people who don't have the working concept of how the human body works. Because if they did, you wouldn't see 1,100% of a vitamin B7, 1,000% more of what you need. And I didn't want to go into this, but here's what they say on the biochemistry side. When you look at the ingredients, it's a proprietary blend. So they don't tell you everything that's in it, or else they'd give away the recipe and someone could copy them. So there was a scientist, and if you're that much of a analyst, you might want to see the video, but they explain when they say the 10-to-1 green tea extract ratio, and they did the math on everything. And they say, if that's really 10-to-1 based on the quantity, and they have all these ingredients, there is really not enough to do what they say it's going to do. So something's amiss. That's what these chemistry people have deduced. But I didn't want to bombard you with that, because there was enough stuff already to show you. Next week, you guys are going to get an email from me for 2.0 version. I took out was the why. All I'm giving you is the how. And this is why. Those of you who have been through the course, you might just need to know the how, because you've learned about the why already. So this way you're going through the course again in a different way. I don't recommend it for a first timer though. The reason for a first timer, you have to know the why in order for you to make that switch, because if you don't have the why, sometimes what a lot of people do, and I'll say this happens more for people who come from the health and fitness or the medical field, they're the ones I really have to have the why for, because they have a different why. They have this why already in their head, and they're the ones that really needed to hear that. From this course, we have guys in here who say, you know what, just show me how to get it done. I don't care about the why. I'm just here to get this solved. I love you guys, because you guys are simple. You guys are like, just show me what to do and I'll do it. And then I get results. That's amazing. If you're ready to be done with your belly fat problems once and for all and reverse disease, click the link below this video. It's my calendar, so that you can get on and talk directly with me about what's going on with your particular situation. On the call, we can go over a step-by-step plan that will work for you specifically. Look forward to talking to you on the other side.